what we're going to do now is take some data off of Google Drive, which we have collected for this class, and we're going to do what I call cleaning, other people call processing. You can call it what you like, but what it is preparing it for use in SPSS. Now, this here is Google Drive. You could use anything. SurveyMonkey is a classic one, but Google Drive we've used because it's free and it works great. So I'd strongly recommend collecting data for surveys using Google Forms, part of Google Drive. Anyway, here we are. And everyone received the Life Adjustment and Wellbeing Survey. That's the only one we're going to use today. So let's get on here. So if we open up here, we can see we have a load of data, which is anonymous. You can't tell who it is. Now this is preliminary analysis, and because we've still got more people to fill data in. Anyhow, this is going to tell us a lot of things we're going to use in class. So the first thing we need is to get this onto our computer, because there's no reason really why you couldn't modify this in Google Drive. I would download it from Google Drive onto your computer and use Microsoft Excel to edit it, because you have got better functionality with Excel and it's just a bit easier to work with. So I'd recommend doing that. So we've got it here. We can right click and download, and it converts it to Excel straight away. So let's just open up the file there. Now it's a good idea at this point to remember where it is. Now mine are in the downloads file, you just see it there, and the worst thing to do is download somewhere and actually not know where it is. So with this, what we've got to do is start stripping out stuff which we don't need. Different ways you can do this. You could simply edit this and delete things. I don't like doing it that way, because if you just delete everything, you can lose data and you can make a mistake. So if we take the first one and rename and call this master, and the next one is called clean. Right. Actually, I'm going to call that copy. Then I'm going to create a third one. I'm going to call this SPSS ready. And we'll see why in a second. So I'm just going to take everything here, copy and paste. As I said before, there's no real need to do this. It just means that if I want to back up, I've got one straight away. So in this version here, I can start playing with it. Now the timestamp I don't need. It's not something I'm going to be analysing. I don't need it. So I can just hide the column, or alternatively delete. It's just not needed. The top row, to make life a bit easier, I'm actually going to make it bold. Now the next step is where we start doing some fun stuff. So we need to convert this into a format SPSS can use. Now the best way to do this is to have numbers. So we need to make a version. So if we just say equals, and does again, it's just equals, open up copy and click on the title, then go to the titles, and I can just run this across for as long as I like. So I'm going to copy that there by dragging that over there. Okay, we get these zeros at the top, which means that we've run out. So it's going to delete these guys. And if I take that and double click, it adjusts everything for those questions. So we've got that. Now another thing you may notice that the student ID appears. I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see a bit easier. Appears there. column AJ, which is not very useful. So just select the column, right click, cut, zoom to the start, and right click insert cut cells. That puts the student ID number first. It's not that important. There's no particular need doing this, just that I like having the ID of participant first. Now, let's just set this row again and make bold. And I'm going to zoom out so you can see a bit more. So I've now made that bold just because it lets me see what the title is. So let's have a look. The first thing we've got here is we'll start populating this with data. So as we see there, student ID numbers, these are numbers. These are unique numbers to each student, which is great because that gives us a unique ID. Now, lots of things in SPSS require a unique ID, so that it knows that this bit of data is with this participant. There's no need to do it that way. You can just add, if you want to anonymize this further, we can just call this participant. I shall show you anyway. It's going to be useful. So equals, go to copy. First cell is blank, but just say first cell. Enter. And we just zoom this down. Okay. So here we have all the data. And you'll see that these ones are blank. We'll come back to that later on. It's not actually that important, but there we are. It is important, but we'll see why in a bit. So, sex. And here we have a situation where the answer is text-based, it's male or female. Now, that is great and it's true, but we need to have numbers. So I'm going to suggest using 1 for male and 2 for female, just because. So we need to see some functions. So the equation in this one, if I can zoom in a bit, see if it's a bit clearer. I'll zoom in on the editing software. So equals if. And this function says, if this thing is happening, do that thing. If it's not happening, do this other thing. So it's a very powerful command. So if, bracket, go into copy, click on the cell, equals, male. Okay, that's if, go to the other sheet, click on the cell, so copy A2, equals male, comma, 1, comma 2. And what this means is that if that cell says male, then it'll put a 1. If it says female, or anything else apart from male, it'll say 2. Close brackets, return. So here we have a 1, because it's male. If we pull this down, we can see that the next line are all females, and if we look here, that is the case. So I'm going to go through and do more of these. So age is not something that really matters. Age matters a lot for this, but it's already in a numerical file. So age, there we are. Marital status, and again, we've got a series of answers here. We need to turn these into text-based. Now, to make life easier for us, because it can be difficult to remember how many options are there, I'm just going to take Excel a little bit smaller and bring in Chrome and minimize it a bit there. So the side by side. Let's have a look. So, and I'm going to actually open up the survey itself. This is what we were asking people. And here we have all the options that could have come. So I think the best way to number this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if you've never done if functions before, you're going to be very good at this very quickly. So I'm going to do an if function for this. So equals if, open bracket. So if, open brackets, click on the cell. equals quotation marks single, comma 1. So what we're saying is if that cell says single, and you use quotation marks to say it's a word, if you don't have quotation marks it won't work. So if it's single, if the participant is single, comma 1, you're going to put a 1 there. Comma. So now we're going to tell the computer or tell Excel what to do if the cell doesn't say single. Now if we put comma 2, close bracket, as we did before, what it means is that we're looking only for single and nothing else. We don't want that. So we remove that and put in another if function. So if, open bracket. Now at this point it makes sense to just copy this text here. So copy and paste. The command I used then was Command C on a Mac, and it's Control C on PC. So just paste it there, make it easy. Equals quotation marks in a relationship bracket. Sorry, quotation marks, comma 2, and then I'm going to carry on. Make this a bit wider so I can actually see it properly. I'm going to carry on doing this for all of the other aspects of here. So if you want to follow, you can, but there we go. So, comma, if living with partner, oops, I'm jumped far too far that time. So paste equals living with partner, comma 3. If paste equals married for the first time, comma 4. If that equals remarried. We're on number 5 now. If that equals full quotation marks separated. Six. If that equals divorced. 7. Now we've got to the end of the string, we can just make life easy because the only other option available is widowed. There's no other option, so we can just put comma 8. So it's cycled through all the possibilities done. Then we've got to chuck in a whole load of close brackets to really finish it off. And we know how many close brackets because we've got 8 numbers there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Press return. And I made a mistake there. Actually, that's what it should be. So click yes. And there we have it. So we now have it looks very complex, but it's really not, just a whole load of if statements put together. So if whatever. And then we just do this for everything else. We just keep doing more. So let's go full screen again. Copy. Simple one, yes and no. So equals, and we go back into the copy. Now it's a D2 equals yes, 1, if it's no, it's 2. So that's a very simple one. And I'm now going to pause the video because all I'm going to do is keep going through doing the same as before. When I've got questions, such as here, what are the major sources of work-life stress, you leave it out. So what I'm going to do is actually I'll show it to you because video is very long. So, what's highest level of education equals if, back into here, that equals postgraduates 1, 2. Okay, nice and simple. So there we have 2. That's an undergraduate. Now here we have what are the major sources of stress in your life. Now we're not analysing this in SPSS, so quite simply I can take this and I can delete it. We don't care about it, we've skipped over it. Then we're back on to do you smoke? Yes, no. And it's again super simple. So equals if do you smoke? There. Equals yes, comma, so yes, 1, 2. Right, we're on post. Now, what you see now is we've got through those, most of them have yes, no, and all the way up to jittery, we're on pure numerical data. So I'm going to SPSS ready, and I'm going to zoom out, makes it nice and simple, equals, back to there, find the number, which is there, and press enter. And you see there we've got the number. So we just zoom out and we grab that handle and we take it right across, right up to jittery. We just put a whole load of data in there. Now, I know this might be hard to see on the screen, but zooming in, there you go. Right. So, back onto here. Going across. How many cigarettes do you smoke per week? Now, here we have, you've got to think slightly laterally. So, we have, most of them are zeros, they're empty, blank, and some of them have numbers, so they're all bigger than 1. So what we can do here is add another if function, so equals if, go to, there's it, there, empty cell, doesn't matter, is greater than 1. So if somebody was to smoke 1 cigarette, they would count as none, but if they smoke 2, we'll start getting the data. So actually we'll bias that by 0.5. Nobody smokes half a cigarette a week really. They do, they're probably not having a thing. But we can make it even smaller, like 0.1. Nobody's going to give that number, it's all going to be 1, or maybe half, but either way, that is not absolute 0. Then, yeah, so if they have any number of greater than 0.001 cigarettes per week, they're going to have 1, if otherwise it'll be that number. Okay? So, and this is where so I made a mistake there, it's actually that way around. So, so go on fly. We don't actually need to have that as a value, we can keep that as 0. So, I made that one a bit wrong, actually should go back and retake, but if yeah. So you'll see where we have data there, so we'll bring that up. So the last ones, do you agree for data to be collected? It doesn't matter because they've already agreed. But for the sake of this, I'm going to say equals, oops, equals copy, yes, and the last 2 do you smoke? I think that's erroneous data from the survey, so I'm going to delete those columns. Right. So what we have here we can delete those too. So we've done a whole load of if functions and got everything going along. So I'm just going to go and delete those rows. So we've got the top row left. Select that one, take it all across, and then drag that handle right the way down until we are left with lots of zeros. We know we've gone too far, so we bring it up, and there we have it. So that is, press save, converting the data from something which SPSS can't use into something it can use, but we're not finished yet. We've got a few more things to do. Firstly, we've got to think about what we're using this for. Now, we're using this in class, and if you go to the form at the top here, the first thing is, do you agree for your data to be anonymously collected? And it's yes or no. So if the person says, I don't agree on my data being collected and used in application or class, then we can't use it. As you can see, everyone has said yes. So we can use all this data, it's fantastic. So we're going to go and delete that column. Right. The other part of it is informed consent. Now, for use in class, all this data is fine. But if I want to use this for publication, I need to have written consent from the person that it's okay for me to use the data, analyse it, and publish it in a scientific journal anonymously. As you can see, the first 7 people who filled this in didn't give me the student number. So while these numbers don't mean anything to anyone, unless you actually know your personal number, it's actually, you can't be identified. So the first 7 people haven't actually given permission for their data to be used. So I'm going to right click and delete. Right. So there we've got these numbers, but I don't want, so I've actually cleaned the data. I've removed everything I can't use, and we're left with just numerical data, things we can use. So I want to add another column in here, and that's going to be participant ID. And this can be a number which I'm going to have to assign to each participant, so it's completely anonymised in the software. So going forward, I can retrospectively work out who's involved, but it's pretty what's it called? Clear. And also, you get these mistakes where, well, not mistakes, some students have large numbers and others don't, so I'm just going to go equals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take this and pull this down. This also helps if you haven't got participant number applied already. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to keep that there, because that links our participant ID we created to that person if we need to later on, but it's not important. So I've now got the stage where my data is ready to enter into SPSS.